So I got a question here today from one of my subscribers, and he's asking how to justify your brand name using the branding strategies. So I'm going to answer his question, but at the same time, I'm going to slightly rephrase his question because we're not looking to justify a brand name using brand strategies, but we're going to be looking at some guidelines to coming up with a name for your brand instead. And that, I think, is the question that he wanted me to answer. And so there are different ways that you can come up with a name for your brand. And I have a few here. There's founder named brands. And so what this is a company. It has the name of its founder, whether it be the first or last name or the first or last names of the two co-founders. For example, I have here B&H, founded by Blimmy and Herman. So B&H Photo Video. And then there's the Acronym brand names. Most of you are familiar with what an acronym is. It's the first letter of a name or word taken aside and then matched with the first letters of the second, third, fourth word, etc. And so for acronyms, we have IBM. And what IBM stands for is International Business Machines. Remembering IBM will be a lot easier for your customers, for your clients, over remembering International Business Machines. Also, especially now, we're in a very digital age, and so a website is crucial to your business, to your brand, and having your domain name actually being internationalbusinessmachines.com, .net, .org, whatever it is very long, and it will be a pain. Also, for those of you familiar with SEO, that is not a good idea. It'll make your domain name very long when suggested. You got 75 characters there. Moving on, there's also geographic brand names. And what this is where the name of the business, the name of the brand, actually includes the geographic location of the business. And that simply extends the name. I recently read somewhere their Panera actually used to be named St. Louis Bread Co. And that name is very geographic. In the name we know, you are from St. Louis and you're a bread company. Great. Not interesting, not so memorable. There's nothing really attention grabbing in the name St. Louis Bread Co. And so that's geographic. I don't believe that's used much today anymore. However, it used to be used a lot. There is also even Brooklyn Boulders. So what Brooklyn Boulders is, it's a rock climbing company here in Brooklyn. And the name Brooklyn obviously is in the title, and so you know where they're located, most likely where they're founded. Then there is descriptive. What descriptive brand names are is they tell you exactly what the company or brand is offering as a product or service. These names are overused and beginning to die out. They are not catchy. They don't have any flair. They're memorable, but they don't really stand out. Dish Network. You are all familiar. Most likely, all of you are familiar with Dish Network. What kind of service they provide. However, when you're thinking about your TV, your cable packages, etc., Verizon is probably coming to mind. Optimum is probably coming to mind. Why? Those names actually stand out. Dish Network does not have the kind of name that stands out in your mind, especially when compared to the competitors. Right? So that's a descriptive brand name. strategy. There's also lexical brand names. I have written here. Lexical is something along the lines of Super Suds Car Wash. See, this is a very basic kind of name. Or Super Bubbles Laundromat, or Super Clean Laundromat. You can even think of the Western Sizzlin' Steakhouse. This is what a lexical brand. These are examples of lexical brand names where you might use a pun, onomatopoeias, and things like that in the brand name. This is also a type of brand name strategy that is dying out, and these names are usually pretty long, and they're becoming boring as people start to come up with ways to name their brands in a more interesting fashion. Moving on, we have invented brand names. Now, invented brand names require a little bit more work for you to tell your brand story. And that's important. However, if you do a good job communicating your brand story across to your audience, your brand name will become memorable. It is something entirely new, and you have a amazing story backing it. It will become memorable. Think of companies like Google. This is an invented brand name, and now becoming a verb. Most of you out there are saying, oh, just Google it. Google is something you do. Google is something, it's no longer a place to find information. Google has become the act of searching and finding and discovering information. Then there is expressive brand names. According to a article that I recently found, these types of names, these types of brand names have the most mental stickiness, defensibility, and emotionality. However, there's something important to note here. So the examples that I found for you guys for expressive brand names are names like Nike, Amazon. And what's important to know is these names exist. These aren't invented names. So we all are familiar with the Amazon, right? Not the company. And we're all familiar with Nike. Well, not all of us, but we're familiar with Nike. And he was like the Greek god of, I believe, speed. And so these are names taken from things that have existed, whether in the current time, the present, in the past, and even Apple actually is an expressive brand name. And what you want to pay attention to here is that when you are familiar with where these names, what else these names pertain to, it opens up a new kind of door to understanding the company. For example, Apple. We all know this as the fruit. And now we have iPhones created by Apple. And so when you think of an actual apple, it's very simple. It's very, there's not too many curves. There's not too many jagged edges. It's just an apple. It's very simple, very easy. You can even say very modern. Now, when you look at the phone, the iPhone, the design of the iPhone, the design of their advertising, the designs in their websites, everything is kind of there and just where it needs to be. Very simple, very modern. There's no need for them to make a curved screen like the edge. That's not what they're about. Apple is always just going to be Apple. Nothing more and nothing less. and that's expressive. Amazon. And you think about the Amazon forest, the Amazon jungle, it's a huge, massive place with trees and different habitats rest inside of different acres of land within the jungle. And there's so many different creatures roaming about freely. When you think of Amazon, it's a very huge company, hundreds and hundreds of categories, hundreds of thousands of products, hundreds of thousands of customers, hundreds of thousands of Amazon sellers. So it's a whole wide jungle. There's Prime, there's Audible, there's groceries. It's just everything is there. Everything is there, just like the Amazon jungle. Everything is there, plus the things you didn't know even existed is there. But if you were to actually venture out there, stay there long enough, you'd come across it, you'd find it. If you were to go on Amazon long enough, chances are you're going to find something you did not know existed. And it's hard to have that kind of sight that far ahead, but that's how big you have to actually think when you're thinking about your brand. You need the entire vision in here so that you can write it down and that you can create the kind of company that lines up with that vision. It's super important that you do that. Some of you might be thinking, oh no, that's impossible. No, I'm telling you, you need to think big, think beyond, think 10, 15, 20 years from now. Write it down. Write down your purpose, your core values, so that you have something, so you have guidelines to follow to get you to the vision that you are aiming for, right? I go over that in the branding course that we're coming out with soon. I will make a YouTube video specifically just to let you guys know that it is available. Moving on. So those are the different brand naming strategies that you can use for your business, for your brand, for your own personal brand or persona. I want to extend this a little bit more to give you some rules of thumb. Whichever strategy you believe is going to work the best for you, you always want to make sure that it is easily pronounced, it is memorable, and it is ideally short. Keep it short, simple, and concise. The shorter your name is, the easier it is for people to remember. The more catchy your name is, the easier it is for people to remember. And the easier it is to actually pronounce your name, the easier it is for people to remember how to say your name. So if they're ever talking about your business to someone else, it's going to be something that they're going to remember and they're going to pronounce it right. And that next person can use that to find your business. So those are the rules of thumb that you want to keep in mind when naming your business. And I also went over, just to recap here, different brand name strategies that you can use. Founder, Acronym, Geographic, Descriptive, Lexical, Invented, and Expressive. Keep those things in mind. If you need any help coming up with your own brand name, drop a note in the comments below. Visit madmarketingpro.com. Shoot me an email through our contact page. I'll be happy to help you on your journey to fulfilling your dreams and passions. My goal here is to share as much marketing information as I can, and I will always put my best foot forward for you guys because I want you guys to fulfill your purpose. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.